Greetings, and welcome to Spinal Tap Horror. Here at the asylum, we're dedicated to bringing you the most hair-raising tales that send shivers down your spine. So please, sit back, relax, and count backwards from 10. The operation is about to begin.
Welcome back, listeners. I apologize for postponing our sessions lately. Things have been quite crazy around here since Halloween, but I think we're finally starting to get things back in order around here. But enough about me. Let's talk about what's going on with you. It seems since Halloween that you've been experiencing some delusional parasitosis. You state that it feels like something is trying to take over your skin. Luckily, that's not terribly uncommon. We all feel a little uncomfortable in our own skin from time to time, and luckily we have 3 doses tonight that will hopefully sedate these delusions of yours. And to make up for our missed appointments, I'd like to share with you a very special case file of a very interesting patient we have here. One of our firsts, actually. I won't be able to divulge all the information tonight, but we'll get into that later. Let's start with our first story. Written by Ultra Remissionum. We hear of a man that also suffered from these imaginary parasites, and after receiving some inadequate medical care, he decided to take matters into his own hands, trying to extract his skin-deep demons. I started to feel an odd irritation in my forearm. The pulse there felt oddly evident and panicked, like an alarm for a disease or an intruder. Massaging it seems to dull the tenderness, but its hot rage returns after any signs of slowing down or rest. Ice would have surely sedated the flesh, but I couldn't afford to slow down. People depend on me. With fibers clinging to the sweat on my calloused palms, I hauled another bag of cement into the mixer. I only hope I wake up healthy enough tomorrow so that I can earn my family another warm meal. I think I'm starting to see things. My hand twitched and dropped my hammer. I watched helplessly as it tumbled down the scaffolding. Fortunately, no one was around to witness it. Bewildered, I glanced down at my betrayer, and I caught a glimpse of something shifting beneath my skin. No, I must be seeing things. The sun was beating down and I was delirious and dehydrated. I desperately forced down a flask of water into my system, the canteen shaking softly in my hands. A cloud of air erupted from my lungs, and I wiped my eyes warily. I met my wife at home anxiously, my mind whirling from today's events. Nevertheless, the small peck planted on my cheek washed away the dread for a time, and she slept peacefully in my arms as I contemplated my sanity. Ruminating silently, I saw it again. It's definitely there. I watched in horror as a lump the shape of a large worm ensnared my tendons and forced my fingers to grip the air. It slithered downwards, burrowing into my muscles and out of sight. Pale and frightened, I barged through the other workers and rushed myself to the emergency room. Please, get it out. The doctor inspected scrupulously, his soft hands loosely holding my wrist. The cold, slim finger poked the area meticulously and he sighed. His frail frame hoisted him up, and he shuffled towards his desk, and he slowly poked digits into the landline phone.
Yes, requesting an emergency referral to a psychiatrist for room 8.
My fatigued eyes opened in disbelief and unjust fury. Something was crawling beneath my flesh, wriggling under the fat, and my only lifeline thought me insane. My blood burned. I stormed out of that room, jogging through past security and the receptionist, before sprinting through the car park. When I burst through my front door, my love questioned my pale complexion, cradling our baby in her arms. I assured her of my health. I didn't need pity or worry. I needed to fix this. I locked myself in the bathroom, following the parasite writhing underneath my skin. Just watching. I laid a cold finger on the site and instantly encountered a wave of searing pain. A tremor forced my hand away, and I knew what I needed to do. I took a razor to my skin, white flesh visible underneath before the pooling of blood seeped out and ran along my arm, precariously dripping down my fingers. I clenched my teeth and prayed to avoid the imminent crack as I slid the razor under the skin, mildly opening the wound, but it refused to budge. I drew 2 more perpendicular slits and dug my grimy finger into my flesh, peeling back the skin like bark from a sapling. An eye squinted with pain, darting back and forth between any orifice, desperate for shelter. There was nothing there, only supple meat irritated by my operation. It couldn't escape. I forced the blade to my arm once more, now ripping it through the skin all the way to my shoulder, each inch cutting deeper and deeper with desperation. I couldn't afford risks. Gleaming in the flickering bathroom light, my arm was limp and throbbing. I pushed myself down onto my knees and threw the miserable appendage over the toilet seat. I could feel the abomination cowering just out of sight, swimming desperately upwards and away from the incision. I forced 4 fat, greasy fingers into my biceps and tore backwards, muscle barely connected now. The smell of rotten iron was overshadowing my ambitions. Through wet eyes, I could make out the untainted blood, empty of insects or parasites. My back seemingly swelled with pain, unbearable to stay in such a position. Dear God, it's in my spine. It's going to my brain. I need to get it out! Well, it doesn't seem like things worked out too well for that particular case, now did it? If only he could have gotten the help that he needed. Maybe things would have turned out for the better. I still wonder what happened to that man. Do you think he was successful? Or maybe something really did take over his body? Do you think you'd be able to tell if the person wearing the skin was really them? Or something more sinister? Maybe we can find that answer in our next story. Written by Halez, we follow a young boy walking home at night when he encounters something that isn't quite what they seem to be. Never let a friendly demeanor fool you. It's only the skinwalker's smile. Eli hated walking home alone at night. The shortcut through the woods carved 10 minutes off his trip, but those 10 minutes were always the longest of his life. Normally the path was alive with crickets and owls, but tonight the silence pressed against his ears like cotton. He shifted his backpack higher on his shoulders, forcing a nervous laugh. "You're being stupid," he whispered to himself. "It's just trees." "Hey!" The voice snapped through the dark. Eli spun, his pulse hammering. A figure stepped from behind a tree. It was Jordan, his best friend, smiling, casually. Eli's chest loosened with relief. "Jesus, man, don't sneak up on me like that." Jordan tilted his head. The movement was stiff, unnatural. "Walking home?" he asked. The words strained as if borrowed from someone else's mouth. Yeah, Eli said, slower this time. A chill spread down his spine. Jordan wasn't supposed to be here. He remembered the text he'd gotten less than an hour ago. "Practice is running late. Don't wait up for me. I'll get a ride home." "Wait," Eli's voice faltered. "You're not." The grin widened, splitting almost ear to ear. Flesh rippled across Jordan's cheeks, shuddering as if though something beneath it wanted out. The sound was sickening, wet fabric tearing, tendons snapping. Jordan's eyes went void black. His teeth, once familiar, grew jagged like shards of broken glass. "You look comfortable," the thing rasped. Its voice overlapped itself, distorted like 2 recordings playing at once. "I'll wear you next." Eli bolted. He tore down the dirt path, his breath ragged. Endless shadows clawing at him, branches slashing his arms and face. The woods seemed to stretch on forever, until finally, the warm orange glow of the streetlight bled through the trees. He staggered out, gasping, lungs burning. His legs trembled. Eli was safe. He'd made it. Hey. The word froze Eli's blood. He lifted his head slowly. Jordan was there. The real Jordan this time? Standing at the corner under the streetlight, baseball uniform streaked with dirt and his bat resting casually over one shoulder, his familiar grin spread across his face. Practice just ended. Let's walk home, Jordan said easily. Relief cracked through Eli, fragile as glass. His lips parted to answer, and then he saw it. Jordan stepped forward into the light. His grin stretched, wider, too wide. His skin trembled, writhing like something beneath it was fighting for space. Eli's mouth went dry. The streetlight flickered, and then, behind him, from the woods, another voice. Hey! He spun, his stomach collapsing into ice. Another Jordan stood in the tree line, and another stepping out beside it. And another. Smiles splitting wider, eyes blackening, skin rippling. They whispered in perfect chorus, voices stacked like an echo chamber of nightmares. You'll fit us perfectly. How unfortunate for Eli. I guess he never learned much about cryptids. Those skinwalkers are a nasty bunch. Not that I would know. But to be fair, there are much more dangerous things that will try to steal your body. In fact, in the 17 and 1800s, people used to make quite a bit of money off the backs of others, dead or alive. Like in our next tale, written by IBE, we are given a fair warning of the body snatcher. I scream into the dank tight space. My throat is raw from the same actions repeated countless times. Around me, the darkness feels like an endless abyss, a veritable claustrophobia that chokes my soul. I've been buried alive, and there are no bell strings. Unsurprising, since my parents cannot afford a coffin that could keep out the water or the denizens of the soil. I feel them wriggling around my toes and beneath my burial clothes, searching for spoiled flesh, or perhaps waiting for me to spoil. I don't know the time, nor how long I've been buried. All I know is that I don't have much before my coffin is justified. I raise my hand, mustering the waning strength to pound once more at the rotten wood, when a voice whispers to me, "Don't." I freeze, my eyes swelling with tears of absolute terror. I know not how long I remain frozen and afraid, but I finally ask, Who's there? The voice emits an eerie giggle and answers, "Just a friend, a guardian." I don't believe it, but its jovial tone makes me wary to challenge it. Why don't you want me to call for help? I'm on the brink of death and I must get out, I croak, surprised by my willingness to converse. Because if you do, your death is assured, the voice says flatly. I laugh bitterly. Is this some sort of trick or riddle? Surely you jest. My death is more likely if I do not act. Perhaps you are the devil, and you've come to trick me into relinquishing my soul, I say, my anger rising at the thought of damnation by the snake-tongued demon. Stupid child, the devil you speak of lies in the hearts of men. I simply watch and warn. Heed my warning, be silent, the voice says, its tone sharpening. My parents always said the devil will use everything in its power to tempt you, and here it is, deceiving me into eternal damnation, but it will not claim me. Surging with a new energy, I strike the roof of the coffin hard enough to feel a soft splinter stab my palm. You fool, stop it now, the voice hisses. It knows I'm getting closer. Readying another strike, I hear a loud thunk on the roof followed by muffled voices. I scream until my throat feels torn. The next moment, the roof splits apart, and as the last wood clears, I hear the voice whisper, "Your fate is sealed." Before me are two men. The one with the shovel that opened the coffin looks at me, and as I begin to utter my gratitude, he says, "I'm sorry, lad, but I came here for a body, and I'm leaving with one." See? I told you there are worse things than cryptids. Sometimes you just have to listen to that little voice of reason, even if it isn't your own. Well, that's going to do it for our normal session this evening, but I did promise you that I would share a very special case file tonight. One of the first I've encountered, actually. It's a very interesting patient we have here. You might remember them. They go by the name of J. Taylor, and at the end of every regular session, I would like to share with you a chapter out of their file. Maybe you could help me understand what makes them tick. What really drives their devotion. Chapter 1. The preface that no one asked for. I never meant to write a book. People who write usually have a wound they want to parade around in public, or a truth they hope strangers will applaud. I don't have that. My life is quiet, orderly, predictable, mostly. But words give shape to the things that don't want to be shaped. They make the chaotic parts look intentional, the dangerous parts curated. And if someone finds this after everything collapses, at least they'll know I tried to explain myself. That's what anyone wants, isn't it? A chance to explain. The rain crawls down the cafe window in long, exhausted lines, smearing the city behind it. People around me type on their laptops like they're threatening them. A woman whispers about a relationship she knows is ending. A man complains about oat milk like it betrayed him personally. Normal. Predictable. I should feel bored, but I don't. There's something in the silence again. A faint warmth. A direction. Her. If this were a gentler kind of story, I'd reach for metaphors about galaxies and flowers and whatever else people pretend is romantic. But that story isn't mine, and I'm not the man they'd want telling it either. Before we begin properly, let me show you something else. A small cut from the future, just long enough for you to feel the teeth behind the smile. I'm standing in a room soaked in blood. A real room. Expensive. Curated. The kind rich people rent to convince each other they're still interesting. The kind where everything is polished until it forgets it has a purpose. Chandeliers drip fractured light through streaks of red on their glass. The carpet was white once. Now it looks like something that lost an argument with itself. Artwork tilts on the walls, half of it knocked loose by events. A slow drip hits something behind me, or beside me. Silence makes distance slippery. 5 bodies lie scattered across the room, not arranged, just falling where the night stopped pretending. I don't look at their faces, not because I care, because it doesn't matter yet. One slumped under the table, one folded awkwardly near the door, one sitting upright as if dessert might still arrive, and 2 collapsed together, their limbs tangled in a way that suggests nothing except finality. Their jewelry catches the chandelier light, blinking faintly through pools of red like drowned stars. A bottle of champagne leaks slowly onto the embroidered tablecloth, spreading like an apology that arrived too late. And then there's her. Not described, not explained, just present. The shape in the scene that changes the meaning of everything else. The smell is thick. Blood. Perfume. Alcohol. Fear. A mixture that clings to the inside of your throat long after memory lets go. My hand is steady around the knife. Warm handle. Wet blade. A quiet rhythm of red tapping on the marble beneath me. My shirt is ruined. My shoes don't make a sound. My heartbeat is calm enough to be suspicious. Across the room, a speaker hums low static, the last breath of music that quit hours ago. It's how I know the world hasn't ended yet. This isn't panic. This isn't shock. This is arithmetic. The final answer to an equation that started weeks ago. And standing here, in this curated ruin of wealth and consequence, I already know what comes next. New name, new city, new life. A beginning, masquerading as an escape. I look at the knife, at the blood on my hands, at the cooling bodies around me, and I know exactly what you're thinking. You're wondering how we got here. Sit back. I'll tell you. I gotta say, Jay Taylor might turn out to be a very troublesome case. I haven't been able to make any progress with them so far, but hopefully next time we can catch a glimpse in what makes them tick. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Oh, and before I forget, please join us this Christmas for another holiday special. I can't promise it will be as chaotic as Halloween, but I'm sure it'll be just as festive. Now get some rest. I'll be back in a couple of weeks to see how you're doing. And thank you all for listening. I've been your host and narrator, Ryan Blue. If you like what you heard here today, please consider leaving a 5-star review and a comment down below. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and consider leaving a like and pressing that bell notification so you don't miss out on future episodes. Remember, you can find Spinal Tap Horror on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You can also follow me on social media at SKZombieCorpse to see everything else I tend to dig my hands into. If you have a story you'd like to share with us for consideration, you can post it to our subreddit at r/SpinalTapHorror or email us at spinaltaphorrorpod@gmail.com. All stories in tonight's episodes were adapted and performed with the written consent of the story's authors. All music featured with said stories can be found for free of use on pixabay.com. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you for the next operation.